Great, thanks so much, Paul. On behalf of Karen Naismith, Karen's over there in the corner there. She's going to be sort of doing the presentation. Her and I are going to be speaking for the next few minutes and telling you about what Project Neutral is about. But Karen and I are two of the co-founders of Project Neutral. So on behalf of Karen and myself, and as well as the phenomenal Project Neutral volunteer team that we have, we also want to extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Thanks for deciding it was important to spend an hour of your Saturday morning here with us to learn about Project Neutral. And I also want to publicly congratulate Green 13 for being selected to be one of our 2 pilot neighborhoods. It was a really tough competition. Karen's going to talk a little bit more about it later, but we're really, really pleased that we're here in the Junction. So it's been a lot of hard work for us to get to this moment, and we're really excited to tell you about Project Neutral. As Paul kind of alluded to, our key objective is to create the first urban carbon neutral neighborhood in Toronto. So that is what our objective is. And over the course of the next few minutes, Karen and I are going to talk about, well, why Project Neutral? What have we got planned, and how do we plan to do it? And you're going to know over the course of the next 45 minutes, we're going to be giving you a lot of information, so you're going to be like, whoa, there's tons of stuff that's being thrown at me. Please don't worry, you will have an opportunity to ask your questions. We'll have at least 15 minutes for a Q&A towards the end of this session. We'll also be around afterwards, and we'll also make sure that you leave with our contact details so that if there's ongoing questions that you have, there'll be many opportunities for you to ask questions and get some answers. So if we go to the first slide. So what's our challenge? We all know that we need to do more to address climate change. The situation is serious, but we know that it's far from hopeless. We also know that most of the world lives in urban cities, and indeed, over 25 million Canadians lives in urban cities, where most of us live in older established neighborhoods, in older houses or buildings that substantially contribute to the city's carbon footprint. So there's a huge potential to reduce our GHG emissions in these neighborhoods, but we know it's not going to be easy. Our research has also shown that a 20 to 50% reduction in average household footprint is possible through $0 or low-cost retrofits and through significant behavioral change. And we actually have a wonderful example. There's another community in Canada called Eden Mills, and they're a rural community, and they've actually succeeded in mobilizing their neighborhood to reduce their carbon footprint, and they, in 3 years, have managed to reduce it by 13%. So you're going to hear a little bit more about Eden Mills through the course of this presentation today, but we're very excited that they're here with us today. So we thought, why don't we try to create a framework for urban neighborhoods to achieve carbon neutrality? We know that individually, I think we're each asking ourselves, what more can we do to tackle climate change? And what more can we do from a either personal level or a household level for us to be reducing our individual carbon footprint? So we thought, let's help put together a framework and help neighborhoods come up with a way of doing that. So that's how the idea for Project Neutral was born. So I'm going to talk about our 5 key principles for Project Neutral. The first one is neighborhoods. We really felt it was important to do the project in manageable chunks. So we wanted people and neighborhood leaders to define their own neighborhood. It had to be a manageable size, and we basically targeted about 1,000 households. So in the Junction, Green 13, your neighborhood leaders, has identified the neighborhood as roughly between Runnymede to Clendenin and Annette to Dundas. There's a little portion that's a little bit north of Dundas, sort of up to Maria Street, and we do have a map right over there, and I know that it's going to be alluded to a little bit later, but that is the neighborhood that we've defined here. So the first principle is to make sure that we have a manageable size neighborhood. The second principle is local leadership and local engagement, which to us is the most crucial factor. It really is important for us to have local leadership that will mobilize, that will inspire, that will organize the neighborhood. And it's really about you, each of you, deciding to actually participate. There is some upfront work that is required, and we will require your advice and your participation as we go along and decide what the options are to actually move this neighborhood towards carbon neutrality. The third principle is establishing a baseline. You're kind of saying, well, how do we start this whole thing? And the way we would start is by actually using a survey to measure household carbon footprint. So we will be, Green 13 will be talking about this a little later, but there's going to be a way of mobilizing that we actually go door to door within the selected neighborhood to to pass along a survey that will look at household energy use, household water use, solid waste, transportation, and high-impact food consumption. Our fourth principle is identifying realistic options. So for us, once we've actually established what is the neighborhood carbon footprint, then we will actually try to focus on what are the easy and maybe some creative options that we should be exploring to move this neighborhood towards carbon neutrality. And the last principle is replicability. It's really important for us. That's why we're piloting this. We're piloting in 2 neighborhoods. We really want to take our learnings, and we actually want to sort of create this as a framework that can be copied by other neighborhoods across Toronto, across Canada, and indeed anywhere in the world that might be interested in this.